Hey guys, back here, finally able to do this portion of the video that I had previously mentioned earlier in this video. I think between the filming of that and now is probably a week and a half. Just goes to show you just how much goes on this project. But I kind of just wanted to walk through y'all with some of the stuff that I've had to navigate on this project. And so I'm currently looking at my schedule. Typically, when there are certain impacts or delays that you have on a schedule, something that I like to do is to get those involved in the schedule. So I will put impacts on my schedule, and I'll probably throw up some little snippets, probably somewhere up here or right here in the video, so you can just kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. But I add impacts because, for example, let's say there's a long lead time on a certain piece of casework. Well, we'll track that in our submittal tab of the schedule. But let's say it's taken a good bit for the architect to review the submittal, or maybe it's taken a long time for the owner to review their portion of the schedule. Maybe there's a couple finishes, or maybe there's certain lights that that they want to have a specific say on for the project. And so it's always important to add those impacts into the schedule, just so that when you communicate that schedule with the owner, you are able to show like, hey, because this is taking 15 days or 8 days, this is pushing this certain line item, that same amount of time back. And so I have certain impacts that you'll see for example, an RFI response, or I have 63 days waiting for a change order approval because they just cannot make a decision on what they want to do with the data scope on this project. We had to wait 17 days to approve drywall buyout because there were just so many different changes. So beginning of this project, basically especially for the lab portion, it was going to be all ceilings. Everywhere was going to have that lab grade ACT grid system. And then and everyone thought that that's what the owners wanted. So there's two owners, and those owners aren't involved in the project, but they have an owner's representative that has their best interest in mind. And there were certain decisions that were made thinking that, okay, these two owners, they will want this, this, and this. Well, those two individuals walk the job and they're like, oh yeah, we don't want any of this. And so they walk in and they're like, oh yeah, we like the open ceiling look. We like everything exposed. We like that industrial look. We don't want any ceilings. We want to remove that scope. Well, removing that scope changes a lot of things. It changes your lighting package. It changes the HVAC package, because now there are certain different amount of air changes that you need to have in that space to not only condition what was supposed to be below grid, but now the whole from the floor to the deck. So now you have to account for that. And so the specs for the certain type of AccuTrol valves that we were going to install had to change. And so there was just so many changes. And when you don't really understand the construction process, you're just thinking like, oh, we're removing ceilings, I'm saving 50-60K, and that's it. We're just removing a scope. But there's a lot of different things that change. The way that we mount our fire alarm notification devices, now the fire sprinkler package is different. And so many different impacts. And so with the schedule in mind, I've had to literally put in delay, impact, just to outline all the different things that affect the schedule and basically communicate to the owner, because of this is why our end date is where it is. And sometimes they don't care and they still want you to maintain that date. And so I've had a heck of a time trying to manipulate the schedule, ask for more manpower, and just really try and crunch numbers as best as I can to be able to accommodate as again, to accommodate as best as I can to what the client wishes. And so that's just kind of something that I've been navigating on this project. Actually, just yesterday, apparently one of the owners walked, and they were they walked into the space, into the office portion of my space, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't know that all of the overhead was going to get painted. We just thought that the deck was going to get painted." Well, the drawings call out for everything to be painted. I even submitted an RFI requesting to know what, because there's a bunch of different plumbing lines that feed the whole space. And so there's, we have DI water, we have CO2, clean dry air, lab vent, lab waste that basically loops through the whole space. And so I sent out an RFI asking, all right, what of this do you want painted? Just so I could get confirmation, because you just never know. And with this RFI, countless emails, countless OAC meetings, basically discussing, hey, this is what this space is going to look like. And then just to have the owner come out and say, oh, we didn't know it was going to be like this. And so it's poor communication, and that's also something I've talked with my wife, because she feels like on every single project that I've had, there's just been a huge lack of communication. And I think where the disconnect is, we communicate all this information to the owner's rep, but I don't think the true full story gets communicated to the actual stakeholders of this project. And so that's why it's been very difficult to navigate, because we get yeses and no's, yeses and no's. Oh yeah, we want this, and then, oh, actually no, we don't want this because we don't want to spend that much money. And which has been another thing that we've had to navigate on this project, is trying to basically VE out everything on this project, and it's just made this so difficult. And so that's why it's been so hard for me to try and focus on creating content for you guys, and to be able to actually basically sit down and have enough time to even film something for y'all. But overall, this has been a very fun project to be on. I've had really good crews on this job, and which is another thing. It's super important to just, daily ask you guys on site, what do you need? What's in your way? Can you make this timeline? And just kind of like set realistic goals. When you set goals, then you're able to actually have a plan. And so I actually had a foreman's meeting today, and one of my other superintendents for one of our different projects, he's going to be covering me for vacation next week. But he was like sitting in and listening in, and he was like, man, like you are like setting dates with these guys like 2 months in advance. Now, some of those things can change, but when you have a goal that far out, it really helps you plan, the weeks that lead up to that. Because yeah, you may think like, oh, that's 2 months down the road, but then you think like, I have enough time, I can work that out, a month down the road. But when you set these goals that far in advance, it really helps you to detail out your days and weeks leading up to that, because you sometimes you get into that mindset is like, oh, I can push that down later, and then once it becomes later, you're like, oh crap, what do I do? How do I make up for lost time? And so that's just something that like I cannot have lost time on this project. And so it's always good to set these goals, and it's like, oh no, actually that won't take 5 days, it'll take me 8 days. And so they work with you and you work with them, and it's just really working out the sequence of how you have your schedule, so that one, that everyone's happy, but then overall you are able to deliver a product that the owner is happy with. And so that's given all the challenges and all the hiccups on this project, that's something that I've been trying to work on, and it's been a huge learning experience. And so again, thought this video, I'll kind of show y'all little snippets of what I'm talking about in regards to the impacts that I have on this project, to really illustrate what's going on this project and what's being affected. And because that really, gets the stakeholders up to speed with what's going on. But in the end, my only contact is with the owner's representative, and it's the owner's representative's duty and responsibility to be transparent with the stakeholders. I hope this was beneficial. I really hope y'all enjoy this video. Really enjoying y'all's comments, and I really appreciate all the subscribers. This has been a journey since I've first started, and I've learned so much. And I really appreciate all y'all's support, and we'll see you on the next one.